Money, or do you sometimes make those lousy financial choices?
You know, it may be genetics. Certified financial planner Tony Drake with wealthwisconsin.com joins us this afternoon to explain more about this. And yeah, we know, genes can determine our height and hair color and all this, but does it really affect how we make our money decisions?
You know, it's pretty fascinating. A new study came out from Sweden where they studied some Swedish twins, and they found out about a third of our financial decisions are actually genetically influenced. So yeah, it can make a difference.
Okay, so blame your parents.
That's right. That's right. It's their fault.
What are some of the money habits that people can be born with?
You know, there's a couple that were really interesting. One of them is what we call the urge gene, which basically says only about 25% of us have the gene that prevents us from the urge to overspend, which is important to think about. About 60% of us spend more than we take in, and that's a real problem. It leads to credit card debt and can be an issue.
Yeah, that's interesting. My parents raised 3 kids. I'm in the middle. They would all call me cheap. I would call myself thrifty. Right. But we all have different spending habits.
It is amazing.
So how do you, is it sort of they set the example, or do you have to really sit down and teach your children how to spend money, earn money, and not spend more than you have?
Well, it's interesting. They claim by the age of 7, most of our spending habits are set already. So it really is important to start showing those habits early. Another interesting habit we found is the risk habit, which basically says some of us are adverse to risk.
Yeah.
And it's important to work with a professional to get a budget and make sure you're taking the appropriate amount of risk, because if you have that adversity to risk, you may not be taking enough risk at your stage of life.
Okay, so 7's too late to start with kids when you want to teach them financial responsibility.
Well, it's never too late, but certainly you want to start as early as you can.
What age? And how do you approach this with young children?
You know, it's really not as difficult as you think. We really tell people you want to start at about the age of 3. But you keep it simple. You know, at 3 years old, you want to just show them that there's value to things, that they don't get everything they want.
Piggy bank?
Yeah, piggy bank is a great option. You can certainly teach them about savings, that labor comes with rewards, and that you don't always get what you want.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed my parents didn't teach me how to pick a stock and see it go up 10 times what I paid for it.
That's right.
They also didn't teach you how to turn up the heat in your house.
That's a different thing.
Sorry.
Frugal, man, frugal.
But the parents can really sort of set the example here. And I think an important part, too, is sort of that work ethic. Like, right. Don't spend what you don't have, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Some of it's allowance, and it doesn't have to be big money, but, setting an allowance, a quarter for helping mom or dad with chores around the house. There's certainly things like trips to the grocery store. I have 3 young kids myself, and that can be challenging taking them all. But if you can teach them, one box of cookies is $4, the other is $2, I can get twice the value. It's a great lesson.
And I would say my parents were frugal in the way they live, but they never really sat me down and did the teaching.
Right.
So I would say I made mistakes early, learned on my own. So the teaching really comes into play. You can't just lead by example.
Yeah, and there's some great ways you can keep it simple for the young kids. A money jar system is something we talk about. Maybe it's 3 jars, and if they earn some money, get some birthday money or holiday money, maybe a portion goes for savings, portion goes for spending, portion goes to charity or tithing for your church.
I did teach my son that if you make millions, don't forget about dear old
That's
dad.
right, good old dad.
Don't forget that lesson.
That's right.
Well, if you got a question for our experts, email them at asktheexpert@today'stmj4.com. You can always leave something on a voicemail as well. The number is right there on your screen, 967-525.